Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
So today we will read Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1. Any particular verse, or I just choose a verse? Let's just open the page, open the book. Oh! Hare. Merci beaucoup. And we will read Chapter 6, Conversation between Narada and Vyasadeva, text 31. Antara bahis chalokans trin, pardiyem yas kandita vrata, anugrahan maha vishnor, avigata gati kvachit. Since then, by the grace of the Almighty Vishnu, I travel everywhere without restriction, both in the transcendental world and in the three divisions of the material world. This is because I am fixed in unbroken devotional service of the Lord. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, there are three divisions of the material spheres, namely the Urdhva-loka, topmost planets, Madhyaloka, midway planets, and Adho-loka, downward planets. Beyond the Urdhva-loka planets, which means the higher planets, that is to say above the Brahma-loka, are the material coverings of the universes, and above that is the spiritual sky, which is unlimited in expansion, containing unlimited self-illuminated Vaikuntha planets, inhabited by God himself, along with his associates, who are all eternally liberated, living entities. Sri Narada Muni could enter all these planets in both the material and spiritual spheres without restriction, as much as the Almighty Lord is free to move personally in any part of his creation. In the material world, the living entities are influenced by the three material modes of nature, namely goodness, passion, and ignorance. But Sri Narada Muni is transcendental to all these material modes, and thus he can travel everywhere unrestricted. He is a liberated spaceman. The causeless mercy of Lord Vishnu is unparalleled, and such mercy is perceived by the devotees only by the grace of the Lord. Therefore the devotees never fall down, but the materialists, the fruit of workers and the speculative philosophers, do fall down, being forced by their respective modes of nature. The rishis, as above mentioned, cannot enter into the transcendental world like Narada. This fact is disclosed in the Nrsimha Purana. Rishis like Mavrici are authorities in fruit of work, and rishis like Sanaka and Sanatan are authorities in philosophical speculations. But Sri Narada Muni is the prime authority for transcendental devotional service of the Lord. All the great authorities in the devotional service of the Lord follow in the footsteps of Narada Muni in the order of the Narada Bhakti Sutra, And therefore all the devotees of the Lord are unhesitatingly qualified to enter into the kingdom of God, Vaikunta. Antara bahis chalokams trin, paryem yaskandita vrata, anugrahan mahavishnor, avikata gati quachit. Since then, by the grace of the Almighty Vishnu, I travel everywhere without restriction, both in the transcendental world and in the three divisions of the material world. This is because I am fixed in unbroken devotional service of the Lord. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharne Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Shatarne Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadha Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vanchkalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyevacha, Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. This is Narada Muni speaking. He has been telling his story, how he became completely God realized. Very special. How he became completely Krishna conscious. The story began with him in his previous life as the son of a maid servant, like laborer, working class, Sudra woman. So she was Sudra, just working class, but she was sincere devotee. As a result, during one of the rainy seasons, some great sages, Bhakti Vedantas, the Bhagavatam says, they came to stay at her place during the period of the rainy season when the traveling mendicants and sannyasis, who normally travel all the time, but at that time they cannot because there's too much rain. So they stop somewhere and stay in someone's house. This is the normal program. And then they chant and read and discuss and just have programs there in that place. And when the rainy season finishes, they carry on again. So these great devotees came to stay in Narada Muni's mother's house, and he served them very nicely, very sincerely, even though he's just a little boy, 5-year-old boy, and 5-year-old children, normally they're not so responsible or yet about what is going on and helping with things. Not so much. Maybe a little bit. But he was. Oh, he served those devotees so nicely that they blessed him to become a great devotee. And he actually asked them, "Can I eat some of the remnants of your food?" And they said to him, "Yes, you can." This is another great blessing. It's one thing to steal prasadam from someone's plate. It's another thing if the person actually agrees, yes, you can take some. So they were very great devotees and very merciful. And he had been serving them so nicely that when he asked, they agreed. And so he did. And then shortly after, it is a long story, but shortly after, his Krishna consciousness really came up. And he became a great devotee. He left home even as a child and was just traveling from one place of pilgrimage to another. The Lord appeared in front of him. He was sitting under a tree, a banyan tree, sort of meditating. The Lord appeared in front of him for just a brief few moments. He, of course, Narada was extremely happy. But the Lord told him that I am just appearing in front of you now to give you some encouragement, and then I will disappear, because you are not really that advanced where you should be able to see me all the time. But just to encourage you, I'm appearing in front of you, so here I am. And then the Lord disappeared. So Narada he was already very serious. He became even more serious. And finally, when the end of his life came, the description is just a little before this in the Bhagavatam, that as he was in the process of leaving his material body, his spiritual body manifested simultaneously as the eternal, Prabhupada says, the eternal spaceman. Liberated spaceman. So that is his particular eternal role in his eternal relationship with the Lord. He goes up to the kingdom of God, sees the Lord. He comes down to the material world and spreads the message of the Lord. And then he goes back to the spiritual world and sees the Lord. This is his program, up and down and up and down and just on, like that. So Srila Prabhupada makes the point. Well, and it states there in the Bhagavatam that this happened, that his material body died and his spiritual body just manifested fully, simultaneously, the Bhagavatam says, just like lightning and illumination occur simultaneously. I don't know if you get much lightning here. You get a lot of lightning? South Africa sometimes. Wow. Johannesburg. You get these amazing electrical storms. And sometimes for maybe 2 or 3 seconds, it may be the middle of the night. It may be the middle of the night. And then there's so much lightning, so much all over, that for 2 or 3 seconds, it's like now. It's full daylight in the middle of the night. So just like lightning and illumination occur simultaneously. So it was just like that. His material body died, his spiritual body manifested, and he became Narada Muni, the eternal liberated spaceman. And this is his eternal service, to go up and associate with the Lord and some of the great associates of the Lord in the kingdom of God, and then come down and spread the mercy to the conditioned souls. And he goes all over. He's been doing this a long time. So probably sometime before, he came to Mauritius. I would imagine Narada Muni has been to Mauritius before, not recently, before, and maybe even he came to Flag. Serious. Because even, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he appears all over also. He may possibly have appeared in Mauritius also. But anyway, Narada, he's just going up and down and up and down and all over the material world, visiting different places, preaching and spreading Krishna consciousness. So, he is able to do so, Prabhupada says here, without restriction, as much as the Almighty Lord is free to move in any part of his creation. So this is the particular situation of Narada Muni, and actually the same thing can come to us, that if we really get the mercy of the Lord by surrendering to him and serving him, then by his mercy we will become able to do practically anything by his mercy. As they say, Mare Krishna Rake Ke, Rake Krishna Mare Ke. Is that Hindi or Mare Krishna Rake Ke? Is it Hindi or is it some other? You think it's Bengali? Okay, maybe you're right. So if Krishna wants to protect you, no one can kill you. And if Krishna wants to kill you, no one can protect you. If you get the mercy of the Lord, then you can practically do anything. At least you can do many things by the grace of the Lord. Look at Srila Prabhupada. There are so many Indian people came from India. How do you say that? Bharat say. Is it? From India. Bharat say, Mauritius may. There's so many Indian people came from India and all over the world. Now there's millions. There's just millions. Wherever you go almost, there's some sort of community of Indian people. It's amazing. But out of all those millions now, only one came to give the real spiritual culture. All the others basically came to make money. And only one really came to give the real spiritual culture, and that was Srila Prabhupada. And even he was 70 years old when he just first arrived, and then he of course got older, and eventually he was 80 or 81. But still, because he was empowered by Krishna, because he had the mercy of Krishna, he was able to spread Krishna consciousness all over. And then, not only did he spread Krishna consciousness, but then just the people who were following him continued spreading Krishna consciousness because they're empowered by him and he was empowered by Krishna. So So like this. It's very amazing. When people become empowered by the Lord, then they can do amazing and wonderful things. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, we were just reading a couple of days ago, somewhere, I forget where, but we were reading, it was in the temple, in Radhagolokananda temple on Saturday morning. By the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, a lame man can climb mountains. You understand lame? Yeah? You understand lame? Okay. A lame man can climb mountains. A blind man can see the stars in the sky. And a child, just a little child like Krishna Kripa, can understand the conclusive truths of the Vedic scriptures. Even Krishna Kripa, you might think, later. But you just see, we have two very important examples in Srimad Bhagavatam of small children who got the special mercy of the Lord when they were 5 years old. Prahlad and Dhruva. Both of them, they were about 5. So they're little boys, they're not even in school. But they got so much mercy from the Lord that they spoke the most amazing instructions, which are there in Srimad Bhagavatam, which are even valuable for us big adults and, people who have been through their education, etc., etc., and very experienced in life. But Prahlad and Dhruva spoke philosophy which helps us so much. It's amazing. So this is because they're empowered by the Lord. They, as we said, they are preschool children. They had never read Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. They had never read because they couldn't read. Or maybe they could just read a little. But to understand and then to be able to express complex philosophical ideas, that, even for us to do like that, in the same way they did, it would not be easy. So just think, when one is empowered by the Lord, then one can do special things. Special things. Just like Krishna makes the point, Evam parampara praptam imam rajashayo vidu. Krishna makes the point that after he spoke Bhagavad Gita to the sun god, after that, then he left. He left. And then, Evam parampara praptam, then the saintly kings took that knowledge and they then distributed it for many generations. Of course, eventually it became lost. But then Krishna spoke again to Arjuna and it was all re-established. So yes, this is the point, that if one becomes empowered by the Lord, then even at least in certain respects, one may be able to act as the Lord. So Prabhupada makes the point that just as Arjuna was benefited when he heard Bhagavad Gita from Krishna, we can get the same benefit. We can get the same benefit today if we receive Bhagavad Gita in disciplic succession. Same benefit. Not just, some benefit, something. Same benefit. As Arjuna became free from confusion and qualified to go back to Godhead, we can get free from confusion and become qualified to go back to Godhead. If we get the mercy of the Lord, if we surrender to the Lord, if we really follow the process of devotional service to the Lord is watching us and waiting to see when will Ishwar surrender fully. 108%. Krishna's waiting. And when we do, he gives his mercy. Step by step, of course, he gives more and more mercy as the devotee is in the process of surrendering. But when the devotee is fully surrendered, Krishna gives his full mercy, and then in many cases the devotee can do practically anything, even impossible things. Like Narada Muni, fly through to the spiritual world, down to the material world, all round the material world. No aeroplane, no spaceship, nothing. Just himself. So, we also can become empowered. Every one of you sitting here, if the more you surrender to Krishna and serve him faithfully, and if you do that more and more, then every one of you will get so much empowerment by the Lord. Just like Deepa is sometimes making cakes. And we sent her some photos from one other devotee from Russia who also makes cakes. She was just a housewife sitting in a flat all day. Devotee. But then somehow she got inspired to make exciting cakes, just like cakes which when people see them they just say, wow, that's amazing. I want one like that. So now she's so busy, half the people she tells, sorry, I can't do it. Yeah. And many people, they're all eating prasadam, and many of them are becoming a little interested in Krishna consciousness. So she's a young housewife at home. She's not some special, dynamic, powerful person. She's just a young woman at home, looking after the home. But now she's taken up this service. She's becoming more and more empowered by Krishna. So that can happen to all of us. In fact, that will happen with all of us, provided we try to surrender, serve the Lord, and help other people to understand these things. Just as Narada Muni became empowered and was able to act freely, so the same can happen to us, including you. Yes. Hare Krishna. Any comment or question? Srila Prabhupada ki.
Jai.
Okay.